Hello and welcome to today's meeting of Democrats of Greater Tucson. My name is Larry Bodine and I'm the president, and I'll be your host today. And our featured speaker is Akanni Oyegbola. Akanni, give us a wave. How are you?
How you doing?
It's great to have you. I'm going to get through a couple of quick announcements and then we'll come back to you. Kathy Ramage White, our membership director. Tell us what's happening and why people should join.
Well, I think people should join because it's where all the cool people hang out, right? I mean, jeepers. That's got to be a good reason. More importantly, it's a fun place to go to listen to speakers, to find out what's going on democratically in town. And you can ask questions, which is also very nice. And Larry, of course, is very gracious. And if you say something stupid, he'll cover it somehow. So that's fine. It's not an issue, you know. So it's only $20. And just go to the dgt.org. And there's a button where you can join. And you join through Act Blue. And then our Treasurer Steve will take care of all that, and we will welcome you with open arms. Good stuff. So here's right back to you, Larry.
All right, super. Thank you. Let's turn to Sandy Binion, who is our program director. Sandy, what have you cooked up for us in the coming weeks?
I want to thank our speaker for today for so graciously agreeing to speak when I called him. Coming up next week, we have Kristen Engel, who is the present state senator from LD10 and was the first one to announce that she is going to run for Ann Kirkpatrick's seat in what is presently CD2, and who knows what it'll be called after January. Following that, we have Andres Tortillo, who is a candidate for Tucson Ward 6 with the upcoming election. And then the following week, we have Paul Cunningham, who is presently the Ward 2. And that ward doesn't have a contest this time, but he's going to tell us what's happening in Ward 2. So that's what's coming up in the next 3 weeks.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sandy. Let's talk to Christina Early. She is our DGT secretary, and she's going to fill us in about our happy hour coming up this Wednesday.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here today. Happy Monday. A lot of you already know about our Drinking Democratically happy hour that we've established this coming Wednesday, the 26th, from 3 to 6 p.m. It's at the Augustine Kitchen, which is at the Mercado, just west of I-10 on Congress Street. Neil Scott, the general manager there, has graciously given us their banquet room, which is just off of their patio. So we can open up the doors. It's going to be bright, airy. The last time we were there, they requested that you wear a mask going into the Mercado, but once you get to your destination, you'll be able to take your mask off, and we'll be able to, as Larry says, rub elbows with other Democrats and do some talking because it's been so long since we met in person. Just some housekeeping. We're not going to have a server assigned to us, so we will be getting our own drinks from the bar and food from the bar. Just spend some time there. At 5 o'clock, we will need to move to the courtyard right outside of the Augustine Kitchen patio as they're getting ready to go into dinner. So that last hour for the folks that aren't retired and have to work, we hope that you'll come by after work and we'll still be there talking with you and meeting, and it'll just be great to see everybody. And I hope you can make it. Please just send me an email or give me a call or a text, just so we kind of have a head count so we know how many people are coming so we can let the restaurant know. Hope to see everybody there. Thanks.
Fantastic. I look forward to it. I believe we're the first Democratic organization in the county to have an in-person meeting. Let me give an introduction to Akanni Oyegbola, who is the acting mayor of the city of South Tucson. Raised in Washington, D.C., he has been a student, spokesman, small business owner and political aide. His legislative, planning, business, and political experiences bring an important balance to the city of South Tucson. South Tucson has been a city within the boundaries of regular Tucson since 1940. It is 1.2 square miles and the home to 6,500 people. South Tucson is known for being heavily influenced by its wonderful Hispanic culture, restaurants, and shops that sell traditional and other goods throughout the city. Akanni is a member of the City of South Tucson Social Services Block Grant Committee and a local board member for the Economic Development Workforce Committee. Akanni has provided all kinds of pro bono service throughout his career in many areas, including the Tucson Pima Collective to End Homelessness, Progressive Democrats of Southern Arizona, and the Salvation Army. And with that, Akanni, the floor is yours.
I just wanted to thank Sandy and the rest of the Democrats of Tucson. I appreciate being reached out to and just to speak on South Tucson in general. The first thing I really wanted to speak on regarding South Tucson was, for me coming in, I'm fairly new to Tucson. When I say fairly, that's 5 to 6 years in this area. And I view Tucson within certain pockets within the culture here. And the pockets that I speak of is the Catalina foothills and Sabino Canyon area, and then Midtown, Central Tucson, and then of course, South Tucson. So for me, that's how I view Tucson. So I kind of actually, once I got the call from Sandy, Democrats of Greater Tucson speaks to the Greater Tucson area. So for me to come and speak on South Tucson, I feel like I wanted to bring my perspective to what I see and what I experience here in Tucson. Of course, South Tucson, we have the stigma of what goes on in South Tucson. And usually we get a lot of people who come to the city specifically for the authentic Mexican and Native American food. So my job primarily is to speak to the entire region and why South Tucson is valued within the whole greater Tucson. Because as I expressed, the 3 pockets, they all play a vital role within greater Tucson. So South Tucson, for me, from what I understand and the history of South Tucson, South Tucson was very prevalent with small business, with culture, prior to I-10 being built and sort of cutting off South 6 right there. And that kind of played a role in economic development issues for the city of South Tucson. But what people continuously come for is definitely what I explained earlier, and that being the restaurants. So that has played a vital role in keeping us afloat, having people come. But I think what's important for people to understand is the value of South Tucson. So Tucson as its own, one thing that Tucson can do, and when I say Tucson being Midtown Tucson, you have U of A, you have all your small businesses, you have your shops, you have your residents there. But the one thing that Tucson can't do, and that speak for South Tucson, because South Tucson has its own culture, has its own history. You have your Pasquayaki Pueblo, you have your Tohono O'odham, you have very prideful, self-determined residents here on this side of town. But what I also wanted to bring up was the city of South Tucson, because a lot of residents, once they cross 22nd Street, they're not sure. They know they're in South Tucson, but a lot of people don't understand that South Tucson, the city of South Tucson, actually starts at 25th and a half Street. So once you hit 25th and a half Street on South 6th, you're in the city of South Tucson. Then you have to the west, 29th Street, where the freeway hits. I'm just giving you the boundaries of the city of South Tucson. To the east, it's the train tracks, and the southern border is where the bridge starts once you're going into, that's the Ward 5 area of Tucson. So you're going from the city of South Tucson into areas such as the Fairgrounds neighborhood, Las Vistas. All those areas come with the southern border of Tucson. So city of South Tucson tends to get lumped together. Very cultural areas, but I just wanted to make that understanding for people who don't understand about the city of South Tucson being its own enclave within the city of Tucson. Did anyone have any questions before I continue?
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
Could you tell us a little about the history of why South Tucson was created separately from the rest of Tucson?
Oh, okay. That's a good question. I actually am not the historian for South Tucson. Of course, I'm still new, and I'm also a new member to the council here. But from what I have researched with the elders here in South Tucson, they started, the city of South Tucson started just like Oro Valley, just like Marana, Sahuarita. It started as unincorporated Pima County. And speaking on the culture here in South Tucson, what's important to South Tucson residents is self-governance and self-determination. So South Tucson residents are very prideful on their own city and being able to take care of their own city. So South Tucson fought as a people fighting to protect what they believe in, and that's the city of South Tucson. So once that happened and the city of South Tucson created their own city, the city of Tucson annexed everywhere else around it. So that's why the city of South Tucson is an enclave within the city of Tucson. So just to give you a little brief information about myself, I came to the city of South Tucson as an intern. So as an intern, my official position was community liaison. So I worked with the police chief, the judge, and the city manager. I knew nothing about South Tucson. I spoke with the residents and the business as an intern, and my job was pretty much to work with a lot of the issues that were going on. At that time, it was a lot of issues with bees and mosquitoes, and we worked with Pima County to solve a lot of the issues that the residents were having. From that point on, I got a lot of support from residents who felt like I should run for council. And I like to tell people when they ask me about me being on the council, I like to say that the residents of South Tucson chose me. They liked the fact of how attentive I was to a lot of the issues and solving issues that they had. So being here, I felt like their trust in having me, they felt like I should run for council, and voting for me, that's more important than anything to me. So going further, that's one important quality I felt like I wanted to keep once I was voted on council. So speaking with the residents, I felt like building relationships, understanding what was important, what was the values of the city. And that's what I speak to as a council member for the city of South Tucson. Another important fact is that there's never been a Black person on the council for South Tucson. So that speaks to the progressiveness of the residents themselves, wanting diversity, wanting someone new, wanting new ideas, new insights. And what I bring to South Tucson is a worldly view for a lot of the issues and solving some of the problems that we have. Originally, I'm from Nigeria. I moved to Tucson from the Washington, D.C., Maryland area. So I bring a perspective a little bit different, and just going through issues and resolving issues day to day with residents, they feel like my attentiveness has been helpful to some of the issues that we have. For me, South Tucson, like I stated earlier, the region, Greater Tucson, plays a huge role with South Tucson as well, because we get support not only from Regina Romero's administration. The city of Tucson plays a vital role. We get support from Mr. Chuck Huckleberry, from Pima County, Adelita Grijalva, Dr. Matt Hines. We also get support from the Pasquayaki tribe, from the Tohoto O'odham tribe. We get support from our union family, AFC-IO, from our faith-based community, from the state, Representative Gabadon. It's so many people within the region that assist South Tucson to make South Tucson what it is. We wouldn't have the relationships, and we wouldn't be able to do the things we did without the support from the region. Also, Congressman Grijalva plays a vital role. The late Richard Elias played a vital role. He was actually, for a while, the housing director for a long time. So he's forever South Tucson in our eyes. So I just wanted to mention that because when people think of South Tucson, you have to think of the region as well, because the region is a big help to the city of South Tucson. I also wanted to mention one key thing that affects and I think it's top of mind right now is a lot of the acts that are being passed at the state that affects a lot of my residents in Tucson and in the state in general. One being the passing of S1, which is the People Act for John Lewis, Voter Protection Act. Also what they call the Fight for 15 families. These fair wages and competitive wages, these are things that affect my residents throughout Tucson. So these are things that are very important to me and residents. So I definitely wanted to mention these are some of the things that are top of mind for me and for the residents here. So just so you know, some state issues that affect the city of South Tucson and Tucson as a whole.
Connie, we do have a question from Shirley Muni. Go ahead, Shirley.
Parenthetically, I worked in Prince George's County for about 30 years, so I know where you came from. Could you tell us your professional background? And also another question is there an economic basis unique to South Tucson?
South Tucson relies a lot on retail sales tax. We do get, the restaurants are vital, but also other businesses that are in South Tucson play a vital role because of the sales tax. So we're looking to do a lot more. It's a huge resurgence on interest in South Tucson. So we're looking to do a lot of tourism. We're partnering with Puerto Peñasco as a sister city. Tourism is key, economic development is key. Also, of course, housing. And one thing is, I think a lot of people, they can see the Tucson Bridges area where University of Arizona has their tech park. There's a lot of development around the city and coming up on the border of South Tucson. But right now, we're starting to get a lot of interest within the city itself. Whereas before, it was a little bit difficult to get people to understand the value of the city and coming in and supporting. So right now, people are starting to understand a little bit more. We're thankful. We have Tucson Tamale Company coming into South Tucson very shortly. So we have a lot of businesses, small businesses, which are key for us. That's moving into South Tucson. That's going to play a vital role for economic development and just supporting the city in general.
And your personal professional background?
Yes, my personal professional background. I'm a business major. So my bachelor's was in business administration. I have a master's degree in business management. So I spent the majority of my educational career with business. And that's a good question because I'm not a public administration major or a poli-sci major. My major is business. So I like to look at things from results resolution, starting with the issue results resolution type of thing to solve those. But also, I feel like it makes me a better servant for the people so I can understand and see where we can resolve a lot of the issues that go on. Professionally right now, I work for Sonora. I work in the insurance part for the hospital. So South Tucson has a lot of issues with behavioral health. So I'm able to help in that way too, with not only our resources, with our other organizations that are out, faith-based organizations providing services to the residents. I'm there firsthand.
Yeah, go ahead, Barbara.
Okay, sorry. Akanni, I don't know if I asked you this question before, but I went to medical school with Raphael Onamulukwe, who built 3 hospitals in Nigeria. I wonder if you knew his family, his children, or any of those people, or if you left when you were too young to know about that.
The name sounds familiar. It just depends on what part of Nigeria and which tribe he's from. It sounds like he's from the Igbo tribe, but it depends on what part of Nigeria. My family is from Lagos in Abeokuta, Nigeria.
Okay, you didn't know him then.
Yeah.
But my question really is, where does South Tucson get most of its medical care? What services do they rely on? Which institutions?
There's several different institutions. One is El Rio, which just built the huge. They just built that huge facility right there. So we have a lot of residents going there. We have a lot of residents that go to the location off of Speedway. This was pre-COVID. And then we have Banner. A lot of our residents go to the Banner facility off of Ajo.
We've also got a question from Susie Anderson. Susie, go right ahead.
Oh, thank you, Larry. And Akanni, it's so good to have you here. I know South Tucson gets a bad rap for crime. You have your own police force. Is that correct?
That's correct.
South Tucson. Do you also have, you said your area struggles with mental health problems. Does your police department focus on helping people with mental health issues?
That's a very good question. What happens is the police department partners with organizations such as Project PEP. If you're aware of Project PEP, Dr. Arnold's organization here in South Tucson, we work with La Frontera and other organizations, but also with TPD. Tucson Police Department has some resources as well, and the Sheriff's Department. But we like to reach out to as many partners within the region to assist us. Being South Tucson, 1.2 square miles, we have a limited police force. So we get a lot of assistance, again, from Pasquayaki, Tohoto O'odham, with different, it depends on what the issue is, which organization we work with. A large part of our partnership with Project PEP is with the youth and opioids. Opioids affected South Tucson drastically. So we work with Project PEP directly. We also work with Pima County Health Department directly. So I can't say enough about Pima County because Adelita Grijalva was one of the champions who assisted us directly with the COVID testing. Dr. Matt Hines' office with Shaq McCoy and Kylie, they helped us directly. And also just their office in general. Just their office in general has been amazing. So that's where we get a lot of our assistance from.
I have a question for you, Akanni. Before the meeting started, you were talking about the city budget, something special that you accomplished. Tell us about that.
Oh, yes. Thank you for bringing that up. As an intern, I used to sit in on the council meetings and just to listen because behind the scenes, South Tucson had a lot of challenges. And one being the budget. We were in the red year after year. And just trying to get out of that. As an intern, I knew once I really decided to run for council, that's where I really wanted to focus on working with the staff, with the front line, and also within the region. So for us right now, South Tucson is in the black, and that hasn't happened in a long time. South Tucson has tightened its belt. The pandemic, even though it devastated the city, but we were already in prepare mode because of being in the red. We were already doing conservative measures fiscally for the city. With that, we also have to thank our partners again. That's the city of Tucson, that's Pima County, that's Pasquayaki. That is our union family because they've come out several times during the pandemic with food boxes, with assistance. So I say this to say that relationships mean everything. Trust means everything to me. I've seen how it works for a city like South Tucson. So from the state, reaching out to Representative Gabadon, who's been amazing. And I also want to mention who's not in office anymore, but who played a vital role, and that's Ramon Valadez for South Tucson. When we were in the red, it was always reaching out to our partners, sitting down and seeing how we can work together. So being in the black right now is I can thank our frontline workers. South Tucson has workers, several of them who've been here, who love the city, who've worked here for 20 plus years, and who unfortunately haven't been able to get a pay increase, and we just got one to them. But for them, their dedication to the city and us working together with our regional partners have assisted us as a city to be in the black, be able to assist our frontline workers, to assist the community, and also be a better partner for the region.
Just a follow-up question, Akanni. Earlier, we were talking about all the wonderful reasons to come to South Tucson, particularly the restaurants. And why don't you run through the places that are your favorites and what you like to get there?
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna start in the city of South Tucson because I'm not gonna leave out the South Side as well. But first and foremost, Pico de Gallo. If you come into the city of South Tucson, you have to stop at Pico de Gallo. There's several meals you're gonna get. Tortas, you're gonna get tacos. The rice and beans are amazing. The fish tacos, fresh juice that they make there. The Delgado family makes fresh juice. I mean, when I say fresh juice, I mean it comes from the farms in Yuma and that area. They bring them down fresh in the truck and they actually juice it right there, whether you're looking for beets, pineapples. And as you can tell, I eat that a lot. Grapefruit, orange, it doesn't matter. They make fresh juice for you. Across 36 and 6, you have Santa Rosa Cafe. That's a cultural restaurant, very good, authentic Tohono O'odham cultural. So if you're looking for potato salad, popovers, eat there. El Torero, long staple resident. Minidito, of course, a lot of people come to the city of South Tucson to eat there. There's Micha's, there's Crossroads. We actually have a new restaurant which is coming into the location where Rigo's is. That's another one. Then I'm to go outside the city as well, because once you leave outside the city of South Tucson, you have your Taco Abson, your BKs, your Rollies. The south side of Tucson is just full of authentic Mexican and traditional food that I think the tourism that comes to this side of Tucson is specifically for that. So I think it plays like we discussed earlier with those three pockets. It's a reason you go to Midtown Tucson. It's a reason you go to the Catalina Mountains and Sabino Canyon, and then there's a reason you come to South Tucson. The culture is second to none. But for the food, absolutely amazing. And don't forget Double L. Double L does a great job, and Crossroads does an amazing job with bringing the food. Sue's Fish and Chips, that's another place that a lot of people come and eat in South Tucson as well. But like I mentioned, we have Tucson Tamale Company that's coming into South Tucson very shortly. So a lot of people will be coming to South Tucson for that. And we have Beef Masters that does amazing job as well. For a lot of people who come into South Tucson.
I wonder if you could also go into a little more detail about the pro bono activities you've engaged in. There's a long list. You've been very active in pro bono activities. Which is the one that has been most satisfying for you?
It's a couple different ones. That's a good question. I work a lot on the board with Project PEP, just working a lot with turning in medication bottles, old pills that a lot of elders or residents are not using anymore. We work with Project PEP for the opioids like we discussed. Also for programs such as CTE, Project PEP has several different training programs for the students. We have on the backside JTED, so working with them as well. But mainly Project PEP has been an eye opener into how we can work with residents and working with also Pima Community College, because their programs have done a lot for our residents as well. A lot of our residents are great in culinary, they're great in art, they're great in tech. Pima County plays a huge role with that for residents of South Tucson who are interested in tech programs. Project PEP as well, because they're starting a program that is tech focused that a lot of our residents are working within. But as far as the servant, just being out, working with Casa Maria, working with different organizations such as Barrio Restoration, where we're doing community cleanups, working with the city of Tucson. If they have any events, I go around the region, and the reason being is a lot of our residents either have extended family in the Pima County or within the city of Tucson or other areas in the region, or they've moved there themselves. So I get a lot of calls from our residents or their family as well. So I'm out there supporting as many organizations and many initiatives as possible.
Give us a picture, Akanni, of the job situation. People want to come to work in South Tucson. What sort of opportunities will they find?
We have a vast array of businesses, especially small business. We have, for example, that's a great question, because we have what we called South Six Bodega. South Six Bodega is a local clothing shop that actually moved from South Six to Tucson Mall, and they're looking to expand further. But they originally started in the city of South Tucson. With the culture within South Tucson, it's a lot of people who probably remember their days as a youth in South Tucson. They spent a lot of time with car shows. They spent a lot of time with just immersed in the culture itself with the South side of Tucson that go and they patronize South 6 Bodega. So they come a lot back to South Tucson. They give back. So a lot of people work with them. But as far as businesses directly, we have Extreme Sports, which is a side-by-side. They do a lot of off-road utility vehicles, ATVs. People come there. They've been hiring a lot of people. They rent a lot of the vehicles there. The restaurants, of course, people come and work there. We have a lot of people who come also for organizations such as La Fontaine. We spoke on that earlier regarding mental health. We have our Chase banks and our utility companies and things of that nature, but a lot of people come for that, mainly for working within the restaurant industry.
We have a question from Megan Song. Go ahead, Megan.
Hi. I was just wondering if there are any programs that have been like adopted by South Tucson, like that you wish that the city of Tucson would also adopt. Programs, policies, anything like that.
During the pandemic, like I was stating earlier, that we work a lot with our regional partners. So this is one thing that I think supersedes the politics on the different areas in the region. We sit down together. For example, we will sit down. We're on the board of Pima County Association of Governments. We're on the RTA. It's several different regional organizations that we work within the region. But other than that, we work directly with Chuck Huckleberry. We work directly with Raul Grijalva. We work directly with Reina Romero when we're developing these policies. So you'll find similarity there, but at the same time, South Tucson, mainly if it's cultural, then we'll probably deviate a little bit, but mainly everything it's similar to our regional partners.
All right, we have a question from Susie Anderson, one of our board members.
Hi there again.
Sure.
Akanni, you get your water from Tucson or from Tucson Water, is that correct? And your electricity through TEP, you don't have a separate supplier for those?
No, we don't. You're correct.
No. Okay. So do you have to pay extra? What kind of deals do you have with the city to give you, and TEP what you need?
From what we need, we partner again with the region. We don't pay extra, thank God for that. But we do pay our fair share within the region. It's going to be similar to what Tucson and other areas pay. Unfortunately, we are a disadvantaged community. We have a lot of poverty. The great thing is we do not have a lot of crime that a lot of people think. That stigma is just not true. But no, as far as TEP and utilities, it's very similar to the region.
Because back in 1936, I was reading that the city of Tucson was trying to put a surcharge on South Tucson's water.
Yes. See, now you're going into the history of South Tucson and Tucson. I guess to keep it positive with our regional partners, yes, in that area there was some issues between how water was being structured and maintained and who was going to do what, especially with the Veterans Hospital on the south side of Tucson. But in these days, everything is fine. We work with our partners, so we don't have any issues. We like to thank our partners. They love us. We love them.
That was a fun thing to read.
You're right. You're right.
All right, Barbara Warren is up again with another question. Go ahead, Barbara.
And follow up to that, the last question. Can you hear me okay? Yeah.
Yes.
What kind of sustainability and renewable energy projects are you looking at or involved in? And are you involved with the Green Business Leaders program that's going on in the city of Tucson with Mike Peel and other people? Have you gotten connected with any of that? Or can we help you?
Yes, we actually are getting connected with them. We'd like to do a lot more, especially with the water harvesting. Anything as far as water sustainability and anything green, we're definitely open to it. But as far as resources, we want to sit down a little bit more with the city of Tucson because they're doing an amazing job with that, with those programs, with the rebates and everything that they offer. So for us, that's another future meeting that we plan to continue to have with Regina Romero's administration and Nikki Lee as well.
Great. How about solar power, solar electricity?
Absolutely. That's another area that we are definitely working within to expand more on it. We have an ordinance in place, but we plan to work a little bit more with that.
Great. There's something called the solar co-op that's come to Tucson and other cities in Arizona that helps people to put solar on their homes at discounted rates with signing up with it. Have you heard about the solar co-op?
Absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely.
Good one to keep
Absolutely.
in touch
We've
with.
had we have a couple residents take advantage. Unfortunately, we're trying to work through some of the barriers for some of the residents to get them to take part a little bit more. But that's when our partnerships comes into play, and how we break down some of those barriers and get a lot more people to participate. But we have interest in it for sure.
Great. Great.
All right, we've got a question from Paul Stapleton Smith. Go ahead, Paul.
Thank you. And Akanni, thank you for all the work that we've done together over the years and the work that you're doing now. And thank you for mentioning that resolution, the resolutions from the state party on Saturday. And this fundamentally, we're Democrats of Greater Tucson here. So we understand, all of us, the threat to voting and voters' rights and the suppression from the state legislature, which is why S1 and the John Lewis Act are so important, right? Because it's federal.
Absolutely.
In South Tucson, and I understand you have a huge interest in state legislature,
Absolutely.
as all of us do, Rochelle and Marion and all of us. So what is the voter engagement challenges today in the city of South Tucson's population, but as you suggested, regionally, right? We're all connected. What are your thoughts on engagement and access to voting, and what must we all do as good Democrats to get ahead of this suppression? What do you think, sir?
I think it's definitely, we have to value everyone. Everyone has to be valued, first and foremost. And that was the main reason on this call and me jumping on this call today. And me speaking on the three pockets of Greater Tucson. South Tucson residents need to get their value as well. And when you talk about voter suppression, my residents feel it directly. So I think that we need to all hold hands, just like we do when we support each pocket within the region, support South Tucson as well as some of the things that we are doing. This voter suppression means so much to people who want to have their voice heard, and that's who I speak for.
All right, we've got a question from our treasurer, Steve Lender. Go ahead, Steve.
Hi. Currently, the state budget that's being proposed by Ducey would include a flat tax, which would be devastating for cities as far as revenue sharing. So mine is like a two-part question. One, what effect, now I know this budget hasn't been approved yet, but it is a terrible one. What effect would that have on the city of South Tucson? And also, do you have a lobbyist, or do you work with other cities as far as lobbying? Do you have somebody who represents you at the legislature?
That's two excellent questions. Cities such as South Tucson, we work with the cities and towns. They have representatives on staff that assist the city of South Tucson. But as far as the flat tax, yes, I mean, it's just like how the pandemic affected the city of South Tucson. That the flat tax will definitely hurt us as well. We also want to feel like we're part of it, but at the same time, we want it to be fair. And I think to be fair, it needs to be in a way that is staggered, depending on income, and not flat all across the board. When you're talking about a disadvantaged community like South Tucson, anyone in that position, if you're looking at a region where somebody is over by living in an amazing property in Mount Lemon, and then you're looking at a resident in South Tucson, and how does that seem when both of them are paying the same amount? And that's what residents talk to me about. So I'm definitely not in favor of it.
Another question for you, Akanni. One of the groups that you work for is the, it's the Tucson Pima Collaborative to End Homelessness. Tell us about some of the projects and the work that's being done there.
It's several different type of programs that they do within the city of Tucson and the region, and mainly a lot of programs with homelessness. And that's where South Tucson, we work hand in hand a lot because of our population. So whether it's programs where we're looking for upward mobility, we're looking at housing, we're looking at veterans housing, we're looking at different resources for the residents on the south side of Tucson.
All right, seeing no further questions, Akanni, I wonder if you'd bring our meeting home to an end. Tell us how people can find you and how we can support you in your work on the city council.
Thank you very much. People can find me right here throughout South Tucson. That's within the city of South Tucson, to Fairgrounds, to Las Vistas. I'm always out at different community events, whether it's at Pueblo Gardens or Central Tucson. Anything related to my residents and their families. I'm always at our union families events because they support a lot of what our residents are going through. I'm just out here just being a voice for residents on the south side of Tucson, and also just working with our regional partners to see how we can play a role as well. As I stated earlier, we all play a role regionally, so just working with the region. You can find me let me get my, this is what I want to do really quickly. This is how important my relationship is. So let me show you one. I know Mr. Stapleton Smith will appreciate the union bug on my business card, but you can find me at City Hall. That's 1601 South 6th Avenue, or my email address where I'll put in the chat, or my office line. A lot of people who are interested in South Tucson, who are interested in doing business in South Tucson, whether I got a call this week where someone was interested in a brewery, or we're looking at renewed interest in affordable housing, economic development, I'm here. I'm here to help. I'm here to serve.
Akanni, thank you very much for talking to us today at this meeting of Democrats of Greater Tucson. Speaking for all of the members, we appreciate your appearance and wish you all the best. And with
Thank
that,
you
I'm
very
going to
much.
end the meeting. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.